Aaron, good morning to you. So talk to us about this outline of how the legal team at the State Capture Inquiry is going to approach the Transnet investigation, essentially.
It seems quite thoroughly, Xoli, because we hear that they've tabled 17 reports that, including their appendices, total some 26,000 pages. And of course, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo isn't going to have time and liberty to go through all of those 26,000 pages. So they've tried to summarize as best they can and then also evaluate how conclusive the reports are. In one case, a series of lawyers investigated some graft at Transnet, but according to Advocate Mahlape Selo, they had serious lack of cooperation from some of the then directors at Transnet, and so their findings, she surmises, are inconclusive. But to get a sense of the scope of Transnet, which is more than just a freight rail company, let's have a look at what the legal team leader had to say yesterday.
The allegations of corruption at Transnet, and where this commission will ask its questions, present its evidence, and make submissions to you, Chair, in regard to possible findings that you can make ultimately, centre largely on procurement. These include questionable transactions for port cranes, locomotives, IT services, and also importantly, Chair, advisory financial management and consulting services. You will hear in due course, Chair, of the existence at Transnet of a capable, highly skilled and well-populated Treasury Department, which was at a stage completely sidelined in favour of external advisory, financial management and consulting services at huge cost to Transnet and the taxpayer. Many of the contracts which will be examined, Chair, were awarded by confinement, that is, without an open tender. And the allegations that will be examined concern allegations of kickbacks to front companies related, amongst others, to members of the Gupta family. And these were paid often under the guise of promoting BEE or empowerment partners.
Well, Aaron, the issue of controversy over locomotives deals, that dates back many, many years. You've just heard Paul Pretorius there that the kickbacks to some of these companies that are linked to the Guptas is going to be key among these investigations. What's at stake here?
Millions, if not billions of rand of South African taxpayers' money that was meant to go toward improving and running SOE effectively. And we heard yesterday from Pretorius that there are cases where it seems that front companies were paid for simply doing nothing, which is sheer and blatant fraud. And importantly, when he talks about financial services company, he mentions, for example, McKinsey working with regiments and Trillion. In one case, for example, based on a report, we hear that McKinsey got work with Transnet and then roped in regiments and Trillion as an afterthought. And it's not clear, says Advocate Mahlape Selo, on why exactly, without any mandate from Transnet, they decided to do so. But I thought because of the fact that these locomotive deals go back years, as you say, it might be worth speaking to the journalist Amabungane to get a sense of some of the digging they've done into those locomotive deals. And this is what investigative journalist Susan Comrie had to say.
So Transnet has always been a target for corruption just because of the size of its budget and the scale of its capital projects. But I think we started seeing the first signs of state capture at Transnet in 2014. One of the really big investigations Amabungane did was to expose Neotel for paying what looked like kickbacks to Homix, which was a virtually non-existent consulting company in Centurion, with vague connections to the Guptas. And then, as we kept digging, it became apparent that the Guptas and their business partner Salim Essa were everywhere, in every project, from the advisors to the banks providing the funding, to the train manufacturers, to the IT systems, and the companies providing maintenance. Almost everyone at Transnet was paying a cut to the Guptas and Essa. So probably the most egregious example was the 1064 locomotive deal, where S's company in Hong Kong took 21% of every locomotive delivered by China South Rail, which would have added up to almost 4 billion rand as a kickback. But again, you have to look at the whole life cycle of those trains to really understand how the Guptas and SA8 at every turn.
So today, Erin, the chairperson of the board at Transnet, Paul Pretorius, is going to take the stand. He's someone who's taken the heat over the last couple of months because of what he says is the cleanup that he's trying to do at that institution.
Certainly, and in fact, going through the ENCA archive yesterday, I found him speaking at a press conference where he spoke about charges being laid against former Transnet employees who are accused of facilitating and expediting some of this fraud, corruption and alleged money laundering. But I think also important to note there that Dr. Molefe comes almost in tandem to Jabu Mabuza. When we heard about Eskom and the graft at Eskom, Jabu Mabuza came as someone who was said to be part of a cleanup board, but also had to answer some very serious questions about the ongoing problems at the SOE. And we're likely to see a similar line of questioning, obviously in relation to rail and not power, when it comes to Dr. Molefe, who takes the stand from 10 o'clock today.
All right, looking forward to it. So 10 o'clock is the start of the state capture inquiry. That's always indeed the time that that commission does its work.